What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. And break down what's happening with some news involving the Fed and what you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvda stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvda. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvda. You're also going to qualify for a 3.6% APY base rate plus a 4.5% APY extra for 3 months, making it a total of an 8.1% APY. The offer ends very soon, just about 2.5 weeks from now, so please check out my link down below to sign up. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So as far as the market's going, SPY is making higher highs and higher lows. We're pushing up very nicely, and we're favoring upside for that 678 price target, if not as high as the 680s. But I do want to warn you guys that the higher we go, the more careful you want to be, because resistance is going to get tougher. And simultaneously, we're going to be watching to see how we end up reacting to those levels. But for now, we are still technically bullish. Now, I do want to mention that as of recent, we're hearing lots of Fed speakers such as Myron, Daly, and Waller, all from the Fed, who are now favoring a cut in December. And this is basically incentivizing more and more of these traders and investors to start buying into the markets as they are becoming more optimistic about a potential cut. And simultaneously, we're seeing the Fed buying back treasuries as I speak, because that is going to help pump different sectors, right? That's helping to bring more liquidity into the systems. And that is also helping the market to push. Now, this is just a temporary sentiment right now. This has to do with sentiment. It has less to do with us truly bouncing for the end of the year. We're going to see how well we hold up, especially when we get to FOMC. But I still think that whether we see new all-time highs immediately or if it takes some time depends on that. So I want to make that very clear. But for now, we're still pushing as a result of what the Fed is telling us, right? We have Daly calling for an interest rate cut. We also have Waller doing the same thing. We had other Fed speakers saying the same thing. They are still becoming more and more enticed there. On top of that, you also have other companies such as big tech. You have Google and Nvda continuing to try to bounce. Nvda dropped only for it to bounce towards the end of the day yesterday, whereas Google is on track of hitting a $4 trillion market valuation. With the high demand for AI chips, especially for Google, there is competition, but simultaneously, we're seeing AI kind of leading the race right now. And then for today, it's Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. We basically have initial and continuing jobless claims data coming out. Just came out, and we're going to see what that leads to. As of right now, the market's still pushing even with this data. And once again, initial jobless claims and everything else is pretty much close to expectations. Now at 9:45 a.m., we have the Chicago PMI, so there could be some volatility then. And then besides that, we just have a couple of bill and note auctions around 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look for some volatility 15 minutes after market open, and then later on, once we get to the bill auctions. Besides that, there's nothing else that's way too crazy on the news right now. Just know that today is the last full day of trading for the month. The stock market will be closed tomorrow, and then on Friday, it's going to be only half a day. So I'm not seeing much news. What do I see for the charts? We look bullish on SPY. As of right now, we're trying to push for 678. I do expect that. If that breaks, 680 is next. But then the closer we get to that 680 to 682 area, the more I'd be more careful, because there is a risk of us rejecting in case we don't break resistance. So you want to watch that level very, very closely. But for now, we're trying to push a bit higher. If we're bearish, you want to see us lose 675 if that fails us. And if we can't hold 675, we're looking for a move back down to 669, which is where the EMAs happen to be. They are trending upwards, so this support could actually rise to about 670, but that is the bearish case. The bullish case is that once again, we continue to hold above 678. If we do, I think the low 680s are coming. And then we're going to see if we reject off that though. So be careful once we get to resistance. So I think that for now, the market does look more bullish, and we're favoring 678 on SPY. I'd like to see us hold above that. If we do, I'm looking for the low 680s. But the thing is, even if we do push to the low 680s, we could still turn as the market is gapped up and there is a gap to fill over here. And also because there is some tough resistance in the low 680s. So keep that in mind. We look more bullish for now. I could see 678 to 680, but then we'll see if we get a rejection. On the QQQ, the same thing is going on. We're looking more bullish. We have not gotten to 613 to 615 yet. We're getting close. So I think we push a little bit higher for 613 to 615, like I talked about yesterday. And if we break that, we could try to go a little higher. We're going to see if we break that or not. But keep in mind, we did get two rejections near just under like 615 on the QQQ. So even if we push a couple of points higher, we're going to see if we get a rejection or not to come back down to fill the gap. If we're bearish, though, and if we end up losing 610, we could be dumping to 606. But as of right now, we're going to be looking to see what happens as we get close to just under 615. Then we'll see if we turn back down. On the IWM, we basically pumped quite a bit. We have this resistance around 245, and we have support at 242. So if we could hold above 246, we're looking for essentially 247. But then if we end up losing support at 242, we could be dipping. I do think that there is some tough resistance right here, and the IWM is kind of like struggling in the pre-markets to break resistance. Unless we get back above 247, we're favoring some kind of like consolidation and then maybe a rejection, a move right back down. So be very careful. On ES, we pushed quite a bit to 6,800, but I would warn you to be careful. We need to hold above 6,800 and eventually push past 6,840 to continue to be bullish. If we don't hold 6,800, we could return to 6,750. We may consolidate up here, but in case we don't break 6,840, we could consolidate in the low 6,800s before we turn back down to 6,750. So keep that in mind. NQ is looking a bit more bullish. We could be looking for an attempt for essentially 25,300, and we're going to see if we break past this. We have gone 1-2 rejections here, and if we can't break 25,300, we could return to 25,122. If that support fails, this will turn back down. So be careful. There is some tough resistance on both the QQQ and NQ. 25,300 is going to be kind of tough to break, and we have gone into rejections here in the past. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. On Bitcoin, we have resistance basically around this 87,000 area, and we have support around 85,000. We may consolidate here before we start to dip, so keep that in mind. Tesla is pushing. My exact target at 425 to 430 is going to likely be tested. We're nearing 425 already, so we could go a little higher on Tesla. But just know that every time we come short of 430, we do like to reject. So I need to see us hold 430 to remain bullish. If we push to 425 to 430, we're going to see if we reject off this range to fill the gap or not. So I do think we go a little bit higher than watch for a possible rejection. Nvda is leading the market up right now. If we hold above 180, I would not rule out the possibility of 182.5. Might push a little bit more, and we'll see if we reject, but there's upside potential. Appl is showing some weakness, though. It's struggling to break past 278, so it may consolidate here before tipping to like 275. On AMD, we're basically trying to rebound. We have a nice looking double bottom. If we break 212, we're going to be looking for an attempt for 218. If we don't, we'll turn back down. But otherwise, I do see some upside potential. Coinbase, as long as they're above 254, we're going to be looking for an attempt for like 260. Not AMD, Amazon, as long as they're above 230, we're going to be favoring a pushback up towards 232.5 to 234 for some temporary upside. Meta, it basically has this tough resistance around this 637.5 area, and we have support down here at 630. As we're dipping back here, we have this resistance becoming support near 630, and we'll see if we bounce. But overall, I'm going to be very careful with this, but I do think we might dip a little bit on Meta. And then Google pumped, now it's dipping. So we're going to see if this returns back down to like 315 and 310. I do think there's a risk of some downside on Google. Microsoft, however, is more bullish, so we have 490 as our potential targets. So overall, we're holding up well. The VIX is at 18. Could dip a little bit lower. I think that 17 to 18 area is going to be key. And we're going to see if we get a big bounce in the VIX as the market may be forming a possible temporary top. As of right now, there's no confirmation yet, so be very careful at this resistance. We came very close to 678 already. We could even touch 678 to 680. But if we can't hold above like 678 or even 680, there is a risk of us kind of like popping and then rejecting. And if we lose 675, we could be looking for a temporary downside move. So that's going to be the main support for a make or break level. All right. So if we hold 678, we could go as high as 680. But if we lose 675, we'll turn back down. I wouldn't be surprised if we try to pop a little bit upon open. But like I said before, if we don't hold above those key levels, we could turn back down to 675. And if that doesn't hold, there is a risk of rejection. I think the odds favor is trying to go a little higher, but then we're going to see if we reject. And if we get the rejection, yes, there is a risk of 675. So we'll see. I do think we go a little higher for now, but then watch for a possible rejection. That's what I'm feeling in my gut about this market right now. But we'll see, just to be safe, looking at the current setups, and we'll be very, very patient to wait for confirmation. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.